name was Perseverance. And what's interesting with that name is that's been my life, is persevering. Persevere from all the challenges. And one of the things you got to do is you got to control what you can control. Don't panic. Don't get uptight. It happened. You can only fix what you can fix.
Welcome to Six Figure Trucker, the podcast where we share advice on how to be successful in trucking and have fun while doing so. We'll share stories, news, and advice on how to earn six figures in trucking, and we'll speak to guys and gals that are already doing so. Let's get to the show.
Hello, everyone, and welcome to the Six Figure Trucker, brought to you by Norton Transport. And each and every one of you, after you join us during the weekly broadcast, you know that this is a space, a time when we can elevate and celebrate the truck drivers, all truck drivers across the country, but specifically those that work for Norton Transport and move our trucks, our dump trucks, our garbage trucks, cement mixers, day cabs, sleepers, anything basically that has wheels, we move it. And we certainly are always grateful for the drivers who do it. You know, many times it's a long, hard road out there, and we sit back in the office and face our challenges, but we want to hear from how the drivers overcome the challenges that they experience. And we've got a very special driver joining us today, Mr. Gary Carrico. Gary, how are you?
I'm doing good. How are you?
Oh, I'm peachy, and I'm joining you from the home office. I'm outside. Even though it's early February, it's a beautiful day here in Ringgold, Georgia, which is where our office is, which is right off of I-75. If you're coming south and you cross the Tennessee-Georgia line, you've just exited Chattanooga. We're the first exit in Georgia, and it is a beautiful day here in early February. I even have a T-shirt on. I think we're close to 70 degrees. I think it's 66. Gary, tell us where you are and what the weather's like where you are.
I'm in Illinois, and it's like 30s, like mid-30s. You're making me wish I was at home because, as you know, I live like 3 exits down from the home office. So you just making me wish I'm at home right now.
Sorry about that. Didn't mean to make you envious there, but sorry about that.
Oh, it's all good. I'm on my way home for a 34 anyway, so I'll be there at a point.
I got you. I got you. Now, Gary, how long have you been with Norton Transport, and tell us what it's been like in that time frame?
I've been with Norton for about a year, and, well, we just started another month. Trying to think my exact day that I started. I do believe it was towards the end of the month of October, so I think we're still at a year and 4 months.
Okay, cool. And I know now that you move a lot of garbage trucks for us, and we've talked to several drivers who have moved some of these garbage trucks. What's it like going cross-country in a garbage truck?
Well, my going joke for anybody with the garbage trucks, I mean, I'm a bigger dude, so it might be a little different for me from others. But, I mean, yeah, you remember in high school the old joke, oh, someone shoved me in my locker? You ever want to know what it feels like sitting in your own locker? That's probably what you got, because you got the steering wheel as close to you as possible, the side bump right next to your one side, the door on the other, and the seat on your back. It's pretty much like sitting in your locker.
It's a rolling locker.
Basically. Now, as far as travel goes, hey, they're not the most comfortable ride, but those cross-country ones for the trash pay well. That's why I do them.
Oh, yeah.
I'll need a spine adjustment at some point because of it all, but you know what? It's worth it at the end.
There you go. Now, as you guys can tell, Gary Carrico is joining us here on the Six Figure Trucker, brought to you by Norton Transport. Gary is a funny guy. He's got a great personality. He's been by the shop, by the office a few times, and shared some times with us, and we appreciate him coming by each time. And Gary, you and I talked a couple of days ago, and you ran into what we would call, in the trucking business, in the transport business, a logistical challenge. Kind of break us down through it, what happened, and how you were able to overcome it. You're still in the process of it. I mean, it is a process in between loads, but tell us what happened there.
Well, I got lucky because it was one of those times, if it was going to happen, it was good to happen when it did. Because like I said, I'm on my way to a 34-hour reset. So I have the load I'm currently on and my next load before that hits. So basically, my 34 will fix the problem. I like it when it's closer to taking a reset, or closer to the end of the week, because my dad, he drove, and one of the things he always told me is, if the beginning of your week screwed up, it's going to be that way till the end of the week. You can do all you can to fix it, but there's only so much you can do as a driver because of regulations. But what happened is I was running a narrow margin. I had to deliver a trash truck to Colorado in Grand Junction. Then I had to pick up one in Grand Junction to take to Denver and catch a flight. Well, I had called my customer 2 days prior to let him know I was coming and what day I was coming. And then I called him the day before saying, hey, just to let you know, I'm coming on Friday. I will call you when I'm about an hour out. Well, I was about an hour out, and I called and no response. As typical with some of the customers, it is what it is. You can't change customers' actions. You just got to figure out how to overcome their actions, because sometimes you can do everything right and things will still go wrong. And one of the things that's funny is, like, at my senior project when I was in high school, I was a firefighter. And the reason I bring that up is because the fire department's name was Perseverance. And what's interesting with that name is that's been my life, is persevering, persevere from all the challenges. And one of the things you got to do is you got to control what you can control. Don't panic. Don't get uptight. It happened. You can only fix what you can fix. Well, I did my best to get to the flight after a 30-minute delay, and I managed to get to the tarmac to watch my plane being pushed onto it. Then I had to fix the problem. Luckily for me, the airport gave me a reprieve and just moved my day of flight to the next day. The problem is, there's one flight out of Denver to Watertown, South Dakota, where we get our utility trucks, and it doesn't land till 7:35 at night. So automatically I lost a whole day of travel. I was only going to go for about an hour, so it's no big deal. It's fixable. It's just, you got to do what you can do in your power to fix it. And you gotta assess every situation one at a time. Like, I do it with my bills too. It sounds stupid, but I could have 50 bills. I will select 1, 2, maybe 3 bills, and I'll just focus on them. The other bills don't exist. And that's how you prevent from panicking. You break a situation down and you dissect things that you can change of the situation and select so many things of that situation you can fix. And as long as you break it down, it keeps your panic level down, it keeps you level-headed, and it makes it more easier to be able to fix the situation at hand.
That's some great advice there for other drivers out there when you run into it. And we all know in the Driveaway world, the Driveaway space, these things come up, and you laid that out, how the airline helped you, and you didn't lose a tremendous amount of drive time, but how did that, there's always the domino effect. Have you been able to lay the steps in place to prevent all the dominoes?
I have laid the steps in place. What benefits me the most is I have one scenario that I'll have to deal with on Monday. And I think I figured out the solution to it. And that is the pickup for the truck I get after this one. They close at 4 o'clock. I can get there, but I won't have no clock to pick up the unit. But what I can do is I can stage it so it's outside of their gate, so that way it isn't locked up at 4 o'clock, but then when my clock is ready, I can pick it up and go with it.
Right.
That's the only other challenge, because after that truck there, the pickup time frame and the delivery time frame are the same. So I was literally going to go home with that truck anyway, because the drop-off wouldn't be open till the next day. So that's where I'm going to catch back up. So right there.
so there's certainly light at the end of the tunnel after this challenge.
Yeah. There always is. I mean, worst case scenario, I've had it already where I've had one, no matter how much I try to get back on track, it just ain't gonna happen. And sometimes you gotta wash it. And what I mean by that is there's gonna be those times where you do everything you can to fix it, but it's not gonna fix. It's gonna take you all the way to your 34-hour reset to be able to fix it. And your 34 is what's gonna fix it.
I got you.
Sometimes you got to cut your losses and know that, hey, I'm going to be behind all week no matter what. But my 34 is what's going to make me rebound and get back on track. Because what happens is your 34 gives you that extra time to readjust what load you're getting.
Right. You plan down the road. You're listening to Gary Carrico here on the Six Figure Trucker, brought to you by Norton Transport. Now, Gary, you and I were talking earlier before we started on the show here. You're no stranger to the transport industry. Tell us a little bit about your background there.
Okay. So, like, with my background, I grew up and my dad drove flatbed. So I grew up from 3 years old, because back then insurances didn't carry your age. But from 3 years old till 21, I rode with my dad. A lot of people nowadays, like, I've come to companies, they're like, oh, 11, 18. It's like, well, my kids can't have the same experience as me. It is what it is. But, I grew up learning from my dad. I learned the tricks of the trade. I even learned the things that are outdated. Like, you can't do the logbook tricks anymore. But, I mean, the thing is I grew up around it. I learned how the industry works. I remember one time being with my dad, we were delivering to Detroit. I was asleep in the bunk. It was a piece of steel. All of a sudden he wakes me up. Thunderstorms rolling in. We're sitting there trying to tarp the steel. I see lightning striking beside us. Me being a kid at the time, I was worried, and my dad's like, "Don't worry about it. The tires are rubber. They would prevent any issues." So I learned quite a bit of flatbed because of him. But I also learned how the industry works. I've learned the downfalls of some of the industry. And one of my goals would be to start a company on the side of working here, something to try and make a company that I see would fix those pitfalls, see if I could make a trucking company that drivers want to drive for.
Let's save that for next week. I want to ask you a couple other things you shared with me about the background you have with your dad, 3 to 21 years old on the flatbed side, and also before you joined us, you were running Hot Shots.
Yeah. That was me starting to try and build my own company. I had run Hot Shots, and I learned some regulations. I learned what I could legally run that would be under DOT regulation. So, I learned how to book my own loads. Like, I was doing 1099 long before Norton, because I ran with U-Ship, and U-Ship, they didn't report, but I did. And my reasoning was because why pass up on the bigger tax return?
Right.
My mom was an accountant, so anytime I have any questions with taxes, I ask her.
Cool.
So, and it's ironic how many write-offs everyone misses. One thing I would promote to all our drivers, because we are 1099, because I've talked to some people in the office, and it seems like none of our drivers like to keep receipts. Keep your receipts. Trust me. It doesn't matter if it's fuel. You get a new charger for your phone. You keep it, because you can write that off. It may only be $12, but in the long run, $12 adds up.
Mm-hmm.
Anything you buy on the road, you keep it for tax write-off. It's throwing away free money, basically. But that was a side tangent. I'm sorry about that.
Oh, you're fine. You were born to be a truck driver. I mean, with your dad being a truck driver, your mom being an accountant, that's a great marriage for a drive-away trucker.
Yeah. And it's ironic. Like, when I grew up riding with my dad. I had pressure because on my dad's side of the family, I was the first one to graduate high school, so I felt like I needed to do something better with my life. And the reason I bring this up, it's why I delayed so long for trucking. I've only got my CDL for 3 years. And I delayed because between the pressure of feeling like I needed to do more because I outperformed everyone on my dad's side of the family, and something that I felt stereotypical. My last name, ironically, in Italian stands for transport a cargo.
That's awesome. That is awesome.
And what's interesting with that is everyone on my dad's side was cab drivers, bus drivers, or truck drivers. So I saw it as a stereotype. Like, my last name is what my family's profession is. That's why I had that stigma about it. But there for a bit, I was running landscaping, and in the off season, I would do Uber and Lyft. And I remember picking up somebody, because I lived in Pennsylvania originally. I picked up somebody in Newark, New Jersey, full-fledged Italian. And me and him had a conversation, and he's like, listen, this conversation that changed my life was his, because he's like, listen, most of the families that came over from Italy, because they had to choose a American name, they chose their profession. He's like, so I implore you to not see it as a stereotype, but honor your ancestors by, if that's what you're meant to do, follow the path of your ancestors. He said your last name was chosen by the profession of your family when they came to America, which was interesting. I never thought of it that way.
That's pretty rich. It's amazing how, just one conversation, you never know who's going to come into your life, but that one conversation, like you said, changed your outlook from that point forward.
Yeah. And then my focus changed to seeing the pitfalls from when my dad drove and trying to figure out ways to make trucking better. That started with trying to start my hot shop business. And so, I ran that for 2 years.
What kind of truck did you have?
Ironically, I had a Honda Ridgeline.
Okay.
Just a Honda Ridgeline. And I'm talking the very beginning years, the ones that looked like a box.
I got you.
The best load I had for that one, and it was what I based my company on, because my company had 5-star rating and over 50 ratings. Like, I never got a bad review the whole time I had my company. And that's one thing I pride myself in. I even do it here. My work ethic and my ability to be pleasant even in bad times is reviews. At the end of the day, you can only fix what you can change. And as long as you remember that, the thing that happens is you stand out. And when you stand out, that's what keeps you keeping a job. That way, when something happens, they're more lenient because they know, well, you didn't do it on purpose because this isn't normal for you.
Right.
You got to stand out, and you've got to make yourself reliable. Make yourself known that, hey, listen, if something goes wrong, it's not because I didn't do my job. There had to have been an external factor.
Right. You built your reputation and you're consistent.
Yeah.
Now, you were talking about some of the things that we run into in the trucking industry and in the driveway space in particular. I know I've heard you talk about it in the times when you're in the office. You and your dispatcher, Courtney, you guys have a great relationship.
Yeah. I mean, it's funny. We'll have arguments because I'm a special breed of person. One of the things about me that I share openly, because I don't see a reason to have a stigma about it, is I'm autistic. And that can present challenges because social skills are not there for me. So I might overreact about something, but it's because how my brain is wired. It's not because I'm trying to be that person who's trying to be rough. It's just, oh, well, this doesn't look good. So I have a very pessimistic outlook on life. When things go wrong, I'll be like, hey, listen, just so you're prepared, this might happen because this is what it looks like physically to me. And Courtney sometimes struggles with that. And the going joke is we argue like a married couple. We'll sit there, we'll yell at each other, and then by the end of the day, we're both talking like normal again. So
That's cool. That's cool. You know, you were talking about, I mean, I didn't know until you just shared with us that you were autistic, but it sounds like you've developed a way to, handle situations like you were telling us at the beginning of the conversation about the logistical challenges that came up in the last couple of days. Is that something you did purposefully, is finding a way to work within yourself to control situations?
Well, that brings up an interesting thing. So that has to do with my autism a little bit too. So I look at the world like numbers, because every autistic, they have their super genius, the one thing that they're smarter than anyone else in the world, and mine is mathematics. Numbers is my thing. I'm a human calculator. Like, ironically, most people, when they try and judge the gap, if their truck's going to fit, they're doing numbers in their head of, oh, 1 second, 2 second, okay, I can or I can't fit that gap. No, I'm sitting there looking at the speed of the car, and I'm doing angles and numbers in my head, and I come to a mathematical equation to determine, am I going to fit that gap or not?
Wow.
That I say that because I'm running like a supercomputer just for a gap to see if the truck can fit, where others are doing it just by seconds and what they can see. I'm doing a whole equation. And my reason for that, ironically, I have a clean driving record, and I contribute it to numbers don't lie. At the end of the day, two masses can't fit. So obviously, mathematics give you the best option, but not everyone can run like that.
I got
Like,
you.
I can go through and I know gas to a T. Like, last night, I was still learning the MPG of this truck, because it's a truck I've driven before, but all of them run a little different. And so my first full tank that I ran to empty, I took the miles driven, divided it by the size of the tank, and got, okay, I'm getting 5.1 miles per gallon. 5.1 miles per gallon to my next fuel stop is this many miles. Divide it. Okay, I need 35 gallons to get to that stop. I have it down to a science with math and numbers.
That's awesome.
So, I
man.
mean, it's one of those things, I can't teach that, but that's something that I do that most would find fascinating, because I go into life thinking everyone can do it. Like, I remember when I ran Uber Lyft, people were amazed by it. I'd be driving a manual transmission through Central City, Philadelphia, and people would be giving me complicated math equations, and I'd be rattling them off as I'm driving a manual transmission. They were amazed I could do it. And I'm like, can't anyone do this? My thing is I did it all my life. I didn't know it was special.
It's a gift. It's a gift. It's definitely a gift. And, one that you can share, not everyone can do it, but at least you can start a baseline with other drivers. And talking about, talk a little bit about what you share with other drivers as far as your knowledge, your experience.
Well, I want to go back to one thing quick, because I wanted to say something about my hotshot, and we got going, and I just want to bring this up. Sorry, it's part of my autism too. I can remember a conversation from the beginning and bounce back.
Sure.
One of my favorite loads with my hotshot with that Honda Ridgeline was I had a 40-foot boat trailer. Now, think of the size of a Honda Ridgeline and the size of a 40-foot boat trailer.
Right.
One of my pride and joy loads. I picked it up in West Palm Beach, Florida, and drove it to Byron, Utah.
Wow, that's a long ways.
In a Ridgeline. It was great. And the best part was, because I used to run my CB through that truck, I had a planned breakdown. Because it was gas. I didn't have to worry about purging the line if it ran out. I used to keep 5-gallon tanks, especially for when I would go through Wyoming or Nebraska, because you'll hit those 80 miles to the next exit, and then the next exit, no services. So I used to do the math again. I would have the fuel tank full of gas in the pack, and I was in Wyoming. I'm like, okay, I have about this many miles left in my truck. 5 gallons give me this much more. And I did the math. I'm like, you know what? I'm going to make the executive decision. I'm going to run the truck out of fuel and coast it as far as it can, and then put fuel in it. Well, it was funny because I did my plan. I executed my plan. And all of a sudden, as I'm running out of gas, the truck behind me, he cues up the CB. That's why you shouldn't drive things like that on trucks like that. So I sat there, I got my funnel, I put the fuel in, and ironically, I called up to the driver just before my fuel exit. I popped on the CB and said, maybe you should learn things before you open your mouth, and drove right by him.
That's funny.
But I mean, that was a very special load for me because that was the longest load I had. And I told the guy, I'm like, hey, listen, could you give me a review stating the size of your trailer? Because that would mean the world to me. Because now I go from just my 6x12 that I was always hauling to, hey, you know, this dude did a 40-foot trailer, and it helped me out. Like, that review helped me out because people knew I wasn't just my trailer and only my trailer.
Mm-hmm.
Ironically, because you got to find a load back, my load back was an outhouse that was going to Pittsburgh. I put it right in the bed of the truck and drove it back
That's too
with a
funny.
tarp over it to protect the shingles.
That's too
and I
funny.
drove it back.
That's too funny. You're listening to Gary Carrico here on the Six Figure Trucker, brought to you by Norton Transport. Gary sharing some of his experience, his knowledge, and the things that have made him a better driver for us. And Gary's he's an open book, and there's a lot of pages in that book. And Gary, are you okay if we talk with you next week as well?
Yeah, definitely.
Now, Gary has he had shared with us, and we wanted to share this with you next week about how he is achieving his dreams through Driveaway and talking about math. He's been with us roughly 15, 16 months, and he's looking to parlay that into achieving a lifelong dream. Gary, we appreciate you joining us here for the week one, and we look forward to hearing back from you for week two. But before we go, talking about all of your experiences, what one thing would you say to someone who is on the fence about jumping into the Driveaway world?
Honestly, Driveaway is nice because one of the big benefits I will give someone is, unlike driving a load where you're limited parking, most of the time we're driving singles, bobtails, whatever. You can fit that truck in anywhere. And one of the biggest things in trucking is the fact that truck stops are doing away with restaurants. It makes it hard to stay healthy. If you're looking to get into the industry, but you don't like the fact of how you can't eat healthy on the road, this would be a good option because it could help you get into those spots so you don't have to eat that cheeseburger all the time. Gotcha.
Gary, thank you so much for joining us for week one. We look forward to hearing from you on week two. And again, week two, Gary, tune in with us. He's going to tell you about his plans for a lifelong dream. And Gary, thank you again for joining us on the Six Figure Trucker, brought to you by Norton Transport.
Not a problem.
Six Figure Trucker is brought to you by Norton Transport. Norton Transport is a drive-away trucking company that customers can rely on. It offers excellent independent contract driving opportunities to professional, courteous, and qualified drivers that can provide the kind of service we deliver. If you're interested in learning more about Norton or just want to subscribe to the show, check out 6-figuretrucker.com. That's 6-figuretrucker.com.